welcome the April 11th, 2023, regularly scheduled land use meeting of the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners. Would everyone please rise for the pledge and invocation given by our chaplain, Commissioner Cameron Cepeda.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Heavenly Father, we acknowledge you today. We thank you for this beautiful day, Lord. And we thank you, mighty God, for your great love that you have for all of us here in Hillsborough County, United States, and around the world. We thank you for your great love. And we pray that each of us, Lord, will love each other, Lord, and have a great love for our neighbor. And we will pray for wisdom for all of us in the Board of County Commissioners and those working for the county. We pray for protection right now. We pray for protection over our military, those serving in the military, the law enforcement, and all of those first responders. And we pray for those that have lost loved ones. We ask you for your great peace that passes all understanding in each of the family members and friends, and we thank you in your holy name. Amen.
Thank you, Commissioner Cameron Cepeda. Mr. Grady, want to review any changes to the agenda?
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Grady, Hillsborough County Development Services. We do have a number of changes and corrections, additions to the agenda, and after I go through those changes, I'll go through the published withdrawals and continuances beginning on page 3 of the published agenda. The first change is on page 11 of the agenda, item F4, PD 22-1070. Exhibits submitted at the February 20th, 2023 zoning hearing master meeting have been added to the backup. The second change is on page 80 of the agenda, item E1. This is regarding PRS 1266 is just to correct on the agenda the typo regarding the application number. To clarify, it is PRS 22-1266. Next change is on page 9 of the agenda, item E2, PRS 22-1680. Condition 51 is being amended to reflect the proposed use change from school residential to county park, thereby eliminating the current condition, which references the ability to do a school or residential to provide for the parcel A shall be permitted at a county park. This next change is on page 11 of the agenda, item F1, rezoning PD 22-0075. The applicant is requesting a remand of this application to the June 20th, 2023 zoning hearing master hearing. Next change is on page 11, item F2, rezoning PD 22-0948. Exhibits submitted at the February 20th, 2023 zoning hearing master meeting have been added to the backup. And then the last change is on page 11 of the agenda, item F4, rezoning PD 22-1303. Exhibits submitted at the February 20th, 2023 zoning hearing master hearing have been added to the backup. And then we do have one off the agenda item. It's concerning a letter from the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners to the Florida Public Service Commission requesting the FPSC hold meetings in Hillsborough County. This will be taken up first on the agenda after we go through the consent agenda. I'll now go through those are the changes to the agenda. I'll now go through the published withdrawals and continuances beginning on page 3 of the published agenda. The first item is item A1, rezoning PD 18-0996. This staff is requesting this item be continued to the May 9th, 2023 Board of County Commissioners land use meeting at 9 a.m. Item A2, PRS 22-1504. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the May 9th, 2023 Board of County Commissioners land use meeting at 9 a.m. Item A3, PRS 23-0033. This application is out of order to be heard and has been continued to the June 13th, 2022 Board of County Commissioners land use meeting at 9 a.m. Item A4, PRS 23-0136. This application is being continued by the applicant as a matter of right to the May 9th, 2023 Board of County Commissioners land use meeting at 9 a.m. Item A5, PRS 23-0154. Staff is requesting this item be continued to the May 9th, 2023 Board of County Commissioners land use meeting at 9 a.m. And item A6, V6, V22-0019. Staff is requesting this item be continued to the May 9th, 2023 Board of County Commissioners land use meeting at 9 a.m. That includes all changes, corrections, and withdrawals, continuances, and remands.
We have a motion to approve the changes?
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
Commissioner Meyer, second, Commissioner Cohen. Please record your vote.
Before we record, just a correction on A3. Shouldn't that be 2023?
Yes, ma'am, that's right.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
thank you, correct.
Please record your vote.
Motion carried 7-0.
Okay, can we have a motion to approve the consent? Motion, Commissioner Cohen, second Commissioner Kemp. No questions. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right, so anyone here for a B item, your application's been approved. And so before we go into the regular agenda, do we want to go ahead and take off the agenda item? I know Mr. Wagner's here.
Yes, Commissioners. The next item then would be the off-the-agenda item concerning a letter from the Hillsborough County Board of County Commissioners to the Florida Public Service Commission, FPSC, requesting the FPSC hold meetings in Hillsborough County.
Board members, you recall this came up to us as a result of our last board meeting when several individuals came down requesting that we write a letter asking the PSC to have a public meeting here in advance of any rate increases. So the letter was drafted and for my signature, and so we're going to submit it barring any changes. Commissioner Kemp?
Yes, do we need a motion on this, or we've already done that?
Adam? What do you think?
I think a motion would be appropriate. to
Okay,
authorize
well,
the chair to
I'll
sign the letter.
move approval. I also, and good job on the letter, Mr. Wagner. Thank you. And I guess we have it's addressed to the chair of the Public Service Commission. I'd also like to have it CC'd to the members as well, and also our legislative delegation, just for their knowledge and information.
Okay, we've got a motion by Commissioner Kemp, second Commissioner Cohen. No other comments. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right, thank you. Now, if anyone here is planning on testifying today, would you please stand and raise your right hand so the clerk can swear you in?
All right. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thanks. You may be seated.
Okay, we're on vacations. Mr. Grady?
Yes, the next item is agenda item C1, vacating petition 2911. Carrie Allen with Facilities Management and Real Estate Services Department will present this item.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Carrie Allen, Facilities Management and Real Estate Services Department. Item C1 is vacate ID V210003. This is a petition by 2911 County Line LLC and Fairway Livingston LLC to vacate a portion of maintained public right-of-way known as Old Livingston Avenue, according to Maintained Right-of-Way Map Book 2, page 42 of the Public Records of Hillsborough County. The petitioners have submitted this vacate request in support of developing a new shopping center and a gas station and convenience store on the property. The proposed vacate area is generally located south of East County Line Road, or Collier Parkway, and east of Livingston Avenue in Lutz. The vacate area consists of approximately 22,456 square feet, or 0.52 acres. The petition was routed to appropriate departments and agencies, and there are no objections to the vacation of this portion of right-of-way. Staff recommends approval of this petition request.
This is a public hearing. Would anyone like to speak to this item? Can we have a motion? Motion approved, Commissioner Kemp. Second, Commissioner Myers. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right, thank you. Now on the public hearing part of the agenda, Mr. Grady.
The next item is agenda item E1. It's PRS 22-1266. The applicant's Hillsborough County Capital Programs. The request is for a minor modification of existing plan development. As shown on the Elmo, the parcel is subject to this modifications on the north side of Fishhawk Boulevard, southwest of the intersection of Fishhawk Boulevard and Lithia Pinecrest Boulevard. The request is, again, here's a close-up of the property. It's owned by Hillsborough County, currently used for recreational facilities. It's also permitted under the PD site plan which is the next graphic, just to show the area within the larger PD designated for, in addition to the park, a fire station. The request is to modify and remove the provision for the fire station in lieu, and then provide for a county library. The next graphic is the site plan in the backup showing the proposed location of that library in the southwest corner of the parcel. Staff has reviewed this petition, is recommending approval with conditions, and we're available for any questions. Thank you.
Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Swati Bose. I'm representing Library Services Department and Capital Programs in this petition for a minor modification. Just some background. The board approved on September 1st, 2010, approximately 5 acres of a portion of the southwest corner of the property, which is the 70-acre property that the county owns on the north side of Fishhawk Boulevard for a future library. In September of 22, the board approved a capital improvement project under the CIP for a future Fishhawk library, for doing the planning and development study for it. So obtaining approval of this minor modification is necessary to proceed with the planning for the future library. So we're requesting approval of this minor modification to basically allow the development of a future library on this 5-acre parcel. We have a Library Services Department here represented, and if there are any questions, we're available.
All right, thank you. Is anyone here in support, wants to speak in support of the application? Okay, anyone in opposition, please come forward. I know we may have a few virtually as well. The opponents have a total of 15 minutes, so I don't know how many people want to speak, but just be mindful. Good morning, sir.
We only have 2 of us here present. There might be somebody online, but I'm not sure. Good morning, Commissioners. I am John Michael Elms. I am a resident at 15848 Starling Water Drive, Lithia, Florida, 33547. I am 1 parcel removed from the 7 houses who will have the woods behind their house clear cut to build this library. The clear cutting will come up immediately to their property line. Those residents have lived there for up to 15 years with that forest there. I oppose this proposed change to the zoning and the creation of a library at this location. The 2.54 acres in question are an essential part of the unique character of our neighborhood. The natural setting is a key aspect that drew most of us to buy, in some case build there, to live there, to raise our families there over the last 15 years. The woods provide a critical barrier to the noise and light pollution from the sports complex, the middle school, and the high school, who have events going up to 10 o'clock at night with stadium lighting and loud noises. And that's fine, but those woods are critical to providing our domestic neighborhood setting. The woods also provide a critical wind barrier during the storms that happen to frequent our part of Florida. They have kept our houses safe and relatively minimally damaged during the hurricanes that happen almost every year. The woods in question are an essential part of the local ecosystem. They are home to numerous tortoises, birds, and key to the ability of the many deer, bobcats, and other wildlife that enabling them to safely transit between the other wildlife areas and preserves in the area, including the tortoise preserve that's immediately north of this parcel of land. The original 7 residents that live and will have their houses immediately affected banded together 12 years ago to prevent the sports complex from being expanded right up to the homes immediately north of us to preserve the value of those homes that weren't being affected, ours weren't being affected, but future residents were being affected, and created that tortoise preserve where it is now. And the tortoises use that land in question, the 2.54 acres, to transit between the various nature preserves and wildlife areas safely. I personally support Hillsborough County's library system and frequent them regularly, including the Bloomingdale Library, which is 4 miles to the north, and the Riverview Library, that's a brand new, beautiful Taj Mahal of a library, 7 miles to the west. I also go to the Brandon Library on a regular basis. They're all great libraries. Fishhawk and that part of the county have sufficient access to the libraries. Adding a library here will provide minuscule improvement to access to libraries in this county. While significantly large populations of this counties and large areas go without library access to the south and to the east. This will also stretch the resources of the library system that right now is slightly flush with cash because of all the real estate transactions that have happened for some reason over the last 3 years. It's nice that they have a large pile of cash right now. However, that time will be coming to an end, and they will need the money they have to support the libraries they do have. Spending this money to build a library where it is not needed, when there's areas that need libraries, and there's areas that have libraries that in the near future will have a hard time supporting it because this large tax flow is going to come to an end. I would like us to support libraries where they are needed, where they benefit underprivileged, underserved parts of the community, rather than putting a library in one of the most accessed areas of the county to the library system, one of the areas of the county that has the best public schools, where we have plenty of transportation options. Our kids, our families are not lacking from library access. We would like to preserve the natural setting of our environment. We would like to better use our resources, financial and land, in this county. Please help us save the woods immediately adjacent to our house. Please help the county library system use their precious and limited resources better. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Derek Zitko. I live at 15844 Starlingwater Drive, also in Lithia. I could also echo what John Michael said about turtles and trees and the character of the neighborhood. I would also add that when they designed this area for the use that it's in, again, this is you look at 89 on the documentation, it certainly wasn't the 2-lane parking lot that it is most of the days already. There's an accident on our boulevard almost once a week at this point already without the addition of another facility. But that's not even what I really want to talk about today. And Commissioner Myers, I'm going to use one of your favorite phrases. If you put a library into Fishhawk, it is not about the people. We have A-rated schools in Fishhawk, while we have underserved communities whose schools are languishing. So it's not about the people if you put it in our community. I can't swing a dead cat in our community without hitting a tutor, right? And we have plenty of money to hire them. There are plenty of underserved peoples in this county who sure could use a resource like a library or their current libraries updated. So it's not about the people if you put another library in our area. As John Michael said, I can drive 8 minutes down one road and 10 minutes down another road to get to almost brand new facilities. So if I can do that easily, we should be taking the funding and putting it somewhere else to people who could really use it. So putting a facility in our area is not about the people. And I would go so far as to say that if you take all those millions of dollars, and again, this is a land use meeting, but you will speak loudly back to the library board. If you take those funds and you put them in our affluent neighborhood, this is almost a new kind of redlining, to be honest with you. Those funds should be put toward underserved communities, toward the northeast of us, toward the southeast of us, or right here downtown. That's where that money should be put, and not in a place where we need it. So I would encourage you to make a loud statement to the library board to step back and look at the whole county that they serve and say which areas, whether we own land there or not, need this money and need the support. Because this land was granted many, many years ago, before a Riverview Library, before a Bloomingdale Library. So just because the land has been granted for that doesn't mean that right now in 2023, that's the best use of those funds. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. I know we have at least one person that's signed up online.
Mr. Chair, we have 3 people online.
Okay, we have a total of 7 minutes and 15 seconds left.
It looks like Mr. Robert is available right now.
Yes, thank you. This is Robert Bacon. I live at 15828 Starling Water Drive, within the proximity of the proposed. I echo Derek and John, what they just mentioned, so I won't go into all those details as well. My biggest concern is the wildlife preserve. Since I've lived here nearly 8 years, the wildlife is huge in this proximity. A lot of tortoise turtles, a lot of woodpeckers, a lot of reptiles. And this is just a great area for them to just thrive, going back and forth to the ponds, going back to the intersections, so to go to other parts of the neighborhoods, because there are a lot of ponds in the Fishhawk area that these animals have to move. We have built up Fishhawk and the other areas so much that these wildlife don't really have anywhere else to go. So I would like to propose to you guys to reconsider everything here, that tearing up 2.54 acres, it may not seem a lot to us as humans, but it's massive to these animals that have, their inability to go anywhere else. They're getting killed on the roads. They're traveling back and forth, and they don't have anywhere else to go. So I would like to really push that emphasis on the wildlife. The wind is a huge factor when you have hurricanes or major storms, that it protects the houses. And that also, the big point is the noise. The noise from the complex, where this complex has grown so much, and there are so many people coming in and out of this complex all the way up till 10:30 at night that the lights stay on. It's a big barrier for the subdivision that was built, and it's beautiful. So I'd like to encourage that as well. So please reconsider the location of this. One last thing I will say is the children are forced to walk to school because the decision made years ago that the children within 2 miles have to walk to school. They cannot take a bus unless they live over 2 miles. There are literally hundreds of kids that walk this path and this trail during these times, and that's just going to cause extra congestion, extra accidents that we can prevent because of the proposed process. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker online.
Kimberly?
Hi, I'm Kimberly Bacon. I live at 15828 Starling Water Drive. I just want to repeat what everybody else said. The natural habitat is so important to us that live here. We bought our houses, with this wooded area behind our houses, and we do not want that woods torn down for a library. It's such a great place for all these animals. It's a natural barrier between the neighborhood of Starling and the sports complex. I can't imagine those bright lights shining through to our houses until that late at night all the time. We have 2 libraries so close to us, we can be there anytime. And I would just encourage a library to go to other areas that need it, because we don't need that library here in Fishhawk. Plant City, Wamama, downtown Tampa, up near USF, those areas need a library. We don't need a library here. Also, just to talk about the buses that were taken away from us, our kids walk that path to get to school. And for them to have to cross another intersection, we've already had so many kids hit on bicycles while they're walking to school. This area is very congested. It's a parking lot, but when schools are going to school and coming back, and just the congestion that another library would cause here is just terrible. We really wish you would not grant this. We do not want the library there.
Thank you, ma'am. Was there one more speaker?
We have Mr. Quincy. He's getting on now.
Hello, how you doing? I'd just like to add a little bit. Everybody said pretty much what I had to
Mr. Quincy,
say.
I believe we need your webcam turned on.
Hi. I just had a little bit to add. My family and I just moved into this neighborhood, and one of the reasons why we chose this neighborhood was that beautiful scenery. And when we moved down here, actually we saw a turtle in our yard, and it went right into that conservation area, and that's an amazing area for those animals, and we should really not take that away from them. Also, like they said previously, we do have access to libraries. I have a young child, and we've already used those libraries, and it really is not far away, and I don't think we need one right here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else signed up in opposition?
That's all that we have on the list.
All right, thank you. Swati, do you or anyone else want to make any other comments?
Yes, Commissioners, as far as the preservation or conservation area on this property, as far as we are aware, this is not a conservation area. It's not a designated preservation area. The Division of Natural Resources that went through the review of it had no comments for this. There is a preservation area for gopher tortoises on the north side of the property, certainly. But this particular area was deliberately left out in any consideration for that because the board had already reserved this for a future library. Now, as far as the buffering goes with the neighbors to the west side, we are sensitive to that, and we will commit to having a 20-foot natural area reserved on the west side in lieu of the 10 feet that's required by the Land Development Code right now. With regard to the transportation issue, we had an extensive transportation analysis done for this particular petition. There were conditions that have come out of that. An outcome of that was to have some roadway improvements made, and those conditions are acceptable and they will be adhered to during the development process. We have library services here if you have any questions for them with regard to the placement. They did go through a review process in the planning stages for the future libraries in Hillsborough County, and this location has been identified as a location for a library, and this particular location on the site is a very good compatible location for them, it has great access and accessibility and visibility, and it is set in the heart of the community. It'll also have the sports complex next to it, which is good compatibility again. And there will be the folks who come to the sports complex, which is heavily used. They will also be visiting the library at the same time. So they make very good neighbors. And we will certainly be very sensitive to the design of the library. There will be, no light spillage and so forth as far as the library goes. We don't have the library hours during the peak, well, certainly not for the peak morning hours for the schools, but in the afternoon hours, the libraries are a safe haven and a place for children to come to and visit with programs and so forth during after hours for the schools.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Owen?
Yes, this is my district, and this would be my library. I'm your neighbor, folks. I first want to thank everybody for coming here and echoing their concerns. A lot of those concerns are mine. I've been the one working with staff on that buffer. I want to thank you all for working with us on that. Libraries, but before I ran for office, so many people in the surrounding communities, Fishhawk Trails and the Preserve and Fishhawk Ranch, said to me, are we going to ever have a library over here? And sure, it's easy to say for those folks because they don't live in Starling. Starling is the property that abuts to this property. I understand every bit of your concern. I drove out there yesterday, looked around at the property, and just some of my initial concerns, as far as how these turn lanes would be working, because obviously we're in between Lithia Pinecrest and Bell Shoals Road, commissioners. This is where we're at. We're in between the two big daddies. Bell Shoals is obviously almost to completion, but Lithia Pinecrest is still Lithia Pinecrest. Then there's quite a few schools on this road too as well, which I think a library benefits to have the schools there. How will the turn lanes work here going eastbound and northbound? I don't know if that's for Adam or for you. Could someone just give us a rundown of that?
Yes, we do have a requirement in the conditions for three turn lanes, 2 westbound to northbound right turn lanes at each of the entrances, and a eastbound to northbound left turn lane.
Okay.
So those will be turn lanes that are going to be added to the existing accesses, and they'll be sized based on the number of trips that would be expected to go through that intersection. We do have Mike Williams here if you'd like any additional detail on those improvements, but they will be evaluated at the time, if this is approved, at the time of site development, and those will be required to be installed prior to the opening of the library.
Yeah, and I guess, Mr. Williams, I'm just concerned about some of the safety concerns that a lot of the good folks here have mentioned about. There are a lot of kids that walk to school in this area, and it's a bit of a travesty. I agree with them as to the busing system, how it works. So we have a lot of walkers in this area. So I'm trying to picture with these turn lanes how this works with our sidewalks and the safety component for people walking.
Okay, thank you. Mike Williams with Development Services staff. Yeah, actually, the turn lanes will help with the crashes and things out there. We had run a crash report for this area, and over 5 years, I believe there was 20 crashes, which is higher than we'd like to see. But there'll be 2 right turn lanes at the current entrances. The left that Adam mentioned would be at the new entrance for the library. But to your question, the sidewalks will be outside of those and a little bit away from the road, which is, you don't want the pedestrians that close. And the one nice thing about this area, there are sidewalks in the area, quite a bit of sidewalks. It was built when the subdivisions were built.
And help me understand a little bit too. I took a deep dive into the attachments on this, and 216 vehicles per hour. That's how I'm getting VPH during the peak hour trip. Is that only for PM, or could you explain a little bit? I think Razor Transportation Consulting did this research for us, and particularly there's a January 23rd, 2023 letter that was addressed to you, and I guess I'd like to get some understanding just from the traffic component wise what this will add to that area, because I see 216 VPHs. Which is a peak hour trip, but then it's referencing just PM. I just want to make sure I'm looking at this right, because I know we have a land development code that I took a deep dive into as well, but I would sure like to clear this up for the public so we understand the traffic impact of the library, because obviously, again, like I said, we're in between Lithia Pinecrest and Bell Shoals.
Right, yes, we are. Trying to find his report here. Here we go.
I think it's attachment D, Mr. Gormley, if I'm not mistaken, or I could be wrong on that.
I got it right here. So the 216 is speaking, it's in the PM peak hour, so the evening peak, and it's speaking to the sports complex. So it says the worst case peak hour trip generation of 216 vehicles per hour during the PM peak. And so
then, not to cut you off, it says a combined trip generation of these sites equals 568 VPHs.
You're correct.
So I was just trying to get an understanding of that breakdown, because it doesn't really clarify. It says peak hours and references a PM, and I just want to make sure that I'm reading that correct. Was it safe to say that the 568 VPHs is kind of the final breakdown of those numbers? Is that?
It is.
Okay.
It is. Yeah, it'd be the total for the the library and the sports complex.
Okay.
Turning in, which is how the turn lane requirements are derived. If you looked in the code on a 2-lane road.
I did.
The 20 lefts and 50 rights is what triggers the need for those turn lanes.
Right. And because we have no, I drove out there, we have no fence line between Starling and, or wall or any type of barrier between Starling, there are about 12 to 14 homes, it looks like, that abut that, and then it kind of takes a westward turn into the neighborhood. The plan, the way it is that people that live on that, I think a couple of them are here today, they can literally just walk out their backyard and they'd be able to walk through to the library. Am I seeing that right, or am I wrong on that?
Well, I'd have to ask Swati to speak to what buffers might be there.
Yes, Commissioners, there is no fence or any barrier right now, but we could put up one if we needed to, and if the residents were against it, we don't have to have it. As I said, we would put in a 20-foot buffer and leave it in a natural state, and we could put in a vertical barrier if we needed to, if it was required, if it was acceptable. If not, we'll just leave it out.
Yeah, because like I was stating before, you know, I've had a loud outcry for a library for the folks in Lithia, but again, easy for the folks in the other neighborhoods to say when you don't live in Starling where it's going to impact your neighborhood. So what I really want to do is make sure that, you know, if this is approved, that we are going above and beyond when it comes to the lighting. If you could touch on a lot of light pollution's a real thing. I've lived around it when I lived behind Bloomingdale High School, and it affects a lot of your quality of life, I feel. And what would you all put in place when you say you'll mitigate that? How do you mitigate that?
We could mitigate it by putting in, you know, the kinds of lights which are contained within the site itself. We are not allowed to spill light beyond the site in any event. We do need a minimum amount of lighting for, SEPTED requirements, which is for safety requirements, so that, we have adequate lighting on the site. But what we will do is be sensitive to any light spillage, certainly, and confine the lights. And we could have, there are many different types of lighting fixtures that we have these days which shine downwards entirely, and they are not visible from outside or from a distance.
Because I think there's some requirement too that lights will have to be on 24 hours, correct?
No, not necessarily.
Okay, so
not necessarily. The lights would be on a timer, and they would come on at dusk, dusk to dawn lights on the outside. There would be some lighting on the building as well, on the exterior of the building. If you have an overhang, it would be confined over there. But we would, try to face everything away from the neighborhood and be sensitive to that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, libraries these days, they're not, they're more than just about books and checking out books. They're community gathering places. And like I said, a lot of the folks of Lithia, prior to me even becoming a commissioner, have really requested this. But one thing that I don't think has been really taken into account is that neighborhood Starling, how the impact is. Would it be too much to ask? Well, I'll just ask, and I appreciate us doubling that buffer zone. Would 30 feet take away too much of the parking lot if we were to say, let's go even further above and beyond? Would 30 feet be something that would really impact negatively the parking lot, or could you just touch on that? I would just like to create maybe an extreme buffer between that neighborhood, just seeing how close it is to our property line.
Okay. Commissioner, would 25 feet be acceptable instead of 30 feet? We would be concerned about having sufficient space for stormwater and parking and so forth. So if, as a compromise, would 25 feet be acceptable, you think?
Well, I'll take what I can get, I guess. All right, well, You all have answered a lot of my questions. I will let some of the other commissioners, again, sorry for being too long on this, commissioners. It's my district, and it's been, I've gotten a lot of emails, and there's been a lot of discussion for many years about this. So I appreciate you all working with us, and I appreciate library services, and I really appreciate my neighbors being here today to speak. So I'll sit back.
Commissioner Kemp?
Thank you. Could you put up a map of the area? A blueprint, whatever. I think it's kind of difficult to follow exactly what is being said. Okay. And can you point out on there exactly, and how large is the library?
The library is going to be a minimum of 15,000 square feet for the first phase, expandable to 25,000 square feet.
Okay, can you keep that up there? Oh, I see. Okay, and then, and that's exactly where it is. And when you, can you go back to with the fields and? Okay. And on that, I'm sorry, but what area of that is the library placed in there?
The library would be right about here.
That's what I thought. Okay. I see. And there's those residents there. So when you're talking about the two-lane turn-in, you're talking about off Fishhawk Boulevard. They're going north. And then the barriers that you're talking about are around all the sides?
This side.
Okay, and the parking lot would be where? Right off the road, or how would that? Okay, I see.
Parking lot would be on the sports complex side.
Okay, and is 15,000 square feet, how does that rank in terms of library sizes?
Typically, we have done 15,000 square feet as like a starter library. Bloomingdale was 15,000 when we began. We expanded it to 25,000 square feet about 5-10 years later.
Mm-hmm.
So we would do the same thing over here. It would be assessed to see what size library services actually needs there, and then 15,000 is the minimum size that we are building.
I see. And so you would put a second story to do more if you did that?
No, it would be expandable. Probably.
Oh, on that lot?
On the lot. There's space enough there to do it.
So I see, too, that this is, the PD is to remove a fire station and add a county library as a permitted use in that area. So for part of this, it was a fire station. What's unique about this is that it's a library. I've never had it come, I don't think, in my time here, I've had a library come in this capacity. And so it's a capital program, which we're investing in because I'm just used to people wanting the library very much and being very supportive. And I am too, as you said yourself, safe haven, a place for children to come to, a wonderful amenity in the community. We've heard from 5 people this morning, but I don't know if that's representative of the community. If this was opened up where we have like hundreds of people in asking for it, I don't know. And I'm just wondering about, because we're doing a major investment. This is a, there are communities that are desperate to have this. So if we actually have a predominant opposition to this rather than support, and people would prefer, I mean, within the 2 or 3 or 4 miles around, conservation area rather than a library, then, I would like to know that. I would like to understand in the community how supportive it is, because a lot of communities really try to have such an amenity. And I think this, again, is unique because it's our capital program that we're investing in. We usually have a private developer in to do something. And, whether it's whatever we put in, pool, aquatic center, library, the ball fields, a conservation area. I just would like to understand that there is strong community support for this here, and I'm wondering if I don't know if you can speak to that now. I'm just wondering about sending it back, not even for a, just to have this discussed in the community and see if that, just like we would if a developer, if we had lots of issues about something, and see if there is strong support for it as it is and a desire, because I think it really should be a desire on the community's part for this investment. So I'm, wondering about if you could speak to that at all.
Commissioners, we would, if that is a desire of the board, we could certainly do that, go back and, vet the community and see if there is a, big support in the area for the library. I will ask Library Services Department to speak to that also, if they would.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sean McGarvey, Library Services. If that is the will of the board, then we absolutely can do that. We defer to Development Services as to the best way to achieve those results, but we stand ready to assist in this project.
I mean, I would like libraries covering every square mile, if it were me. But if it's truly the will of the community to have this land, which is Hillsborough County's land, be a conservation area, maybe. It doesn't sound like they want more ball fields or a fire station, from what I can hear. But if that were to be the majority will in the community, then it doesn't seem a place that we should necessarily make an investment. And as I said, this is just a first impression for me, because I've never quite had it come this way. It's usually people begging for this kind of amenity in their communities. But if something else is desired, I could support today removing the fire station and then sending it, I'm not even sure, because it's not really a remand or anything, but maybe continuing this and having some community meetings and reintroducing that. I don't know how long it's been. I've heard about the Fishhawk Library for years. I don't know that it's ever been before me in 6 years about it in terms of the plan. Just to kind of get the sentiment in the community about this, and I'd like to understand and entertain that before we do an investment in their community on their behalf with our taxpayer dollars, when we have other communities looking at this, and understand that sentiment better. I guess I'll make a motion to that. Well, maybe we can hear the others.
All right, we've got 3 more in the queue, and then we're going to have to make a decision. Commissioner Myers?
Thank you.
2 months?
One, excuse me. I'd like to thank those who have spoke in opposition of this, and also to county staff. Thank you for doing an excellent job in explaining for all the questions that were asked this morning. But when we think of a library and having students with the number of schools in this area able to walk to a library, I think that's a win-win for the students who are coming from school. They have an accessible library right there for them and their families. One of the gentlemen mentioned, both of them I think mentioned when they spoke publicly about the underserved communities. I appreciate your comments. Just want to share with you, in my District 3, we have the West Tampa Branch Library, the C. Blythe Andrews Library in East Tampa. On 78th Street, we have a library that sits right in the Palm River area. And in the USF area, we have the Athenia Joyner Library. So we have a number of libraries that are in the underserved communities. My concern is that of all that has been said, all the adjustments that staff are willing to make, with the buffer and everything and preserving the area where the library still can be built. When you think about the county, the Board of County Commissioners, when they purchased this library, I'm sorry, when they purchased the land in 2010, am I correct? That's when this was purchased, in 2010? That's what I heard someone said earlier.
Yes, ma'am.
So now we're talking 13 years later, and in this community, someone had the vision to see that a library would be needed in this community. And I think it is wanted for the library to be there. I would support it. I think if we go back and want to open up opposition, it's only going to delay this from the community probably another year before we can get this built and underway. And then we have missed a lot of opportunities where children can have the opportunity to go to a library. So I'll stop there. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Owen?
Yeah, and I agree with you, Commissioner Myers, and Commissioner Kemp. I appreciate those comments. I guess the only thing I'll say as the District 4 Commissioner that, and I live there as well, the surrounding communities do want this, but again, the folks that are here, Starling, they're the ones that are bearing the brunt of the development. So I do think that this would be just such a great thing for the folks of Lithia. But at the same time, I think that we need to go over and beyond to create these buffers and create the appropriate lighting so that they're not negatively impacting their neighborhoods. Again, I've lived through that myself, so I think that staff has really gone above and beyond on this, and I so appreciate my neighbors being here to speak on this. You being here, I think, has impacted how this would be developed if it's approved. So with all that and all that's being said, I'm going to move for approval.
Okay, we've got a motion by Commissioner Owen, second Commissioner Myers. Commissioner Wostel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the individuals that spoke in opposition. This is our first time, this is my first time as a new commissioner, I think, approving a library. And just for procedural purposes, do the opposition get an opportunity for rebuttal, or is public hearing done?
The public hearing was completed. They
Okay.
had opportunity for 15 minutes in opposition.
Okay. How much is this library going to cost?
I will defer to Ms. Bowes, but usually it's around $10.5 million for a library this size.
Okay. I did feel like one of the comments about, you know, if we're flush for cash now, is there a requirement and an urgency to spend it? This wasn't a forethought in 2010. You have to really scroll down to page 4 and look pretty hard to see what the opposition spoke of, is that this was from 1989 when this library was originally planned. Is that right? 1989?
The library, probably not so long ago, but when we did the Bloomingdale Library, I think that was around 2005 or 6. There were a lot of community from Fishhawk who were lobbying for the library, in fact, to be in their neighborhood at that time. But this particular library, because of the funding and so forth, and the planning for it was deferred, and we did get the site in 2010, and now Library Services is ready to start doing the planning for it. The construction is not yet funded. It will be funded in the future.
All right, and you've already, this is the absolute only plat of land that's available in the area for the library? We've already sought all other options. Is this the only option?
Right now, this is the best option that we have. There were some other options looked at in the past, and they were not acceptable. They were within the community, you know, in more private areas with no visibility and so forth. So Library Services really preferred this site over any others that they had looked at.
Oh, okay, but you said preferred and best, but the question is, was it the only option? Or are there other options?
Right now, this is the only option.
Okay, that's what I want to understand. And just for the new commissioners, the library taxes are a specific tax, and they must be used specifically for libraries. And
That
I
is
think
correct.
I think that's an important thing to point out. Okay, that's all I need. Thank you.
Commissioner Cameron Cepeda.
Yes, wanted to thank everyone for coming out to speak in the neighboring area, but also Commissioner Owens, as he's mentioned, he's been hearing this for years, that the community really desires to have a library. And also, because of the additional buffer, I think that's going to help a lot. And that's what I think.
Thank you. And I want to say that I understand the concerns of the neighbors. That's why I support whatever additional buffers that we can include to, to mitigate any of their concerns. That being said, I got to tell you, I can't think of a better situation of having a library, a park, and a school right next to each other. In fact, it's a model that the county is starting to do more of by co-locating libraries and parks together. We're doing the exact same thing in Sentosa. It allows you to, share resources and really save money in the long term by co-locating facilities. So I think it's a wonderful model. Only question, any additional condition we need or should add as far as increasing the buffer or having it, listed?
Yes, sir. I would suggest, based on the discussion here, that the project be required to have a 25-foot buffer on the western side, consisting of retaining the natural vegetation with the exception of any invasive species that may be located in there. And there's discussion about a fence. The fence can be an option to include there, depending on whether it's desired to have that actually secured, but we could certainly have that as an option within that buffer.
And anything with respect to lighting?
Yeah, the lighting will be subject to the county's exterior lighting regulations, and that will mandate that at the receiving residential area, the light the code standard is a maximum of 1 foot candle. If there was comfort level in committing to something less than that, that could be specified, but the county standard is 1 foot candle at the receiving residential property line. I believe that shielded lights, which are typically used for containing that light, with the combination of keeping trees and existing vegetation there, will provide an effective blocking of the light spilling over from the library site.
Okay, Commissioner Owen, are you okay with those conditions, or?
Yeah, I am. And one of the reasons I was asking about a fence is I guess I'm just worried about kids cutting through the woods, to get to the library. So I think for 2 reasons: 1, to create more of a separation, and then 2, for a just a public safety component, so that they're not cutting through wildlife and vegetation. So, I would ask that be a part of it.
A requirement for a 6-foot wall or fence within that 25-foot buffer area.
Yes,
correct. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we got a motion to approve by Commissioner Owen with the additional conditions, second by Commissioner Waters.
I just have one question about a wall or a fence in there, which I understand why you're saying that, but will that prevent wildlife from traveling that path?
If there was my understanding is the fence would be something that is helping to secure the perimeter of the library site. Generally a fence or wall is wildlife that traverses the ground will generally not be able to traverse through a wall or a fence.
If in terms of having the wildlife be able to traverse, just sensitive to that, however this works, but just like to point that out. We might be preventing human beings, but we might, depending on how it is, we might also be preventing as a wildlife crossing. So however it's done, just that issue.
Yeah, and I think that's, Mr. Chairman, that it's a well-taken point that I actually didn't think of till you just brought it up. But the fence line would actually end, it would go for how many feet?
It would go along the whole site of the library, and the fence generally, the screening, like the fence, typically goes within the buffer area, but it could go on the back side or the street side. So if the fence were put on the the east side of the buffer that's closest to the library, that leaves that 25 feet
Okay.
with the existing vegetation unencumbered by a fence.
Yeah, and I guess I would just agree with Commissioner Kemp to be extremely sensitive to that because that's a very, very good point that she made. So just keeping that in mind to be insensitive to that. Yep.
Yes.
Do you guys know how big 25 feet
Okay,
is?
please record your vote.
25 feet. You guys need to reconsider 25
Motion
feet.
carried 7-0.
Thank you. All right, next item.
Next item, agenda item E2, PRS application 22-1680. The applicant is Hillsborough County Capital Programs. The request is for a minor modification to a planned development that's located in the mid-north part of the county. The request is putting the graphic on. There it is. Again, the request is to modify an existing PD, parcel L within the planned development. That basically, it's currently permitted for an option for a school or residential. The request is to modify it to allow for a county park. Staff is recommending approval with conditions, and we're available for any questions. Again, here's the details showing the area, and as part of the revisions, access is being clarified that regarding provisions of circulation and access through the parcel and to the parcel. Again, staff is recommending approval. We're available for any questions.
Good morning again.
Commissioner Swati Bose again. I'm representing Parks Department in this petition. Again, this is a minor modification to a site that is county-owned. It's currently used as a passive park. The board actually exchanged this parcel with the school board of Hillsborough County in around, let me see, that was in 2001. When the school board determined that they didn't need this property and they were given another property to the north adjacent, and they built Pride Elementary School over there. The county commission accepted this property from the school board in 2001 as an exchange and dedicated it for a park. The property itself was about 15 acres in size originally. And it was bisected by Bassett Creek Boulevard. And so now we have two separate parcels, and both the parcels are owned by the county, and both of them are used as a passive park right now. Again, the board approved a capital improvement project for the construction of a recreation center on this site. And the first step towards it is to get this minor modification as a housekeeping item to allow the park to be developed on this property in lieu of school and residential. We did do a traffic analysis. This was the biggest concern. We did have a public meeting on this, and overall, the public is in support of this location and the project. However, the biggest concern on this site was the traffic, the school traffic, basically. So we have worked very closely with the Transportation Division, and they have recommended some conditions for the access, ingress, egress, and which are acceptable and which are part of the conditions for this project. I'd want to say that the project itself doesn't generate a lot of traffic which impacts the roadways. The conditions are for the purpose of safety, for ingress, egress for those who would be using the recreation facility. So there will be a right turn in and right turn out only on Bassett Creek restriction, and then we will be exiting, and there will be an access, both ingress, egress, from Lion's Den, which is a private road for Pride Elementary. The school board is very much in support of this project, as well as the access that has been recommended. Any other questions for this? I'll be happy to answer.
All right, thank you. Is anyone here in support? Any opposition testimony? And if not, I'll just, Swati, I don't know, there may be questions, but I'll just say this is a project that I've worked on for quite some time now. We have it almost fully funded. Those of you that were on the last BOCC, we made a motion that when we surplus the land at Live Oak just adjacent to it, that the proceeds from that will go toward constructing this recreation center, which is going to be the first public recreation center in New Tampa. It is widely supported. There are some concerns with traffic. This school, as with every school in the county, just about the queuing challenges that they have in the morning and afternoon. They are real. However, as Swati said, there really does not increase traffic here. And the way it was explained to me, because this will house after-school programs for the elementary school there, and that's why the school's very supportive. And what will happen is it'll actually reduce some of the traffic, because those kids will leave school and go to the recreation center, and they'll be picked up later after the typical pickup times from school. So it really makes a lot of sense, but I do support every effort and condition that can go to ensure that happens. So I appreciate the work staff's done on that, and I'd like to pass the gavel and make the motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hagan and second by Commissioner Kemp. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you, Swati.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Next item.
The next item is agenda item E3, PRS application 23-0043. This is a request for a minor modification to 42-acre parcel located on the north side of Old Hopewell Road. The request is for a modification of the existing PD, basically to provide for access along the eastern boundary of the property shown in red, to allow it to be utilized in combination with the parcel that's zoned AM that's outside of the PD. So this will basically allow for unified development of the parcels that are under common ownership. Staff is recommending approval, and we're available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant here?
I think the applicant's online.
I have Christopher McNeil, but I don't see him on the.
He's here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chris McNeil with McNeil Engineering, here representing the applicant. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for hearing us this morning. Again, this request is simple. We believe it's interior to a common unified project area. It includes portions of this older PD from '82. The property was purchased in multiple pieces and then combined. The western half or portion of this property, which you can see by this property line here, through this interior of the property, was purchased. The western portion is in the PD, the eastern portion is the AM, and the request is simply to allow access back and forth between those two differently zoned properties, but they're part of the same unified ownership. This is a zoom in of the property area that was previously shown by staff, and really we're just asking for that continuous ability to travel back and forth between both sides of the property. And that completes the request. If you have any questions, I'm
Thank you, sir.
available.
Anyone in support? Anyone want to speak in opposition? Commissioner Owen?
Yes, thank you for being here. Applicant, if you could stay here, Representative. Yeah, this, I don't get too much from this part of my district, so it's exciting to see. And basically, the owner here owns both these parcels, and he wants to create kind of a common access point for both these parcels. Does that sum it up, basically?
Yes, sir. Just common access between all of them.
Correct. And this looks like it'll be farm worker housing possibly too. Is that a possibility?
Possibility.
Which is highly needed. Good. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll move for approval.
Got a motion
Second.
to approve. Commissioner Owen, second Commissioner Wellstool. No comments. Please record your vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
E4.
The next item is agenda item E4, PRS application 23-0080. The applicant is Millrights Local Union. The request is for a minor modification to a 5.2 acre PD. It's located on the south side of US 92 between Falkenburg Road and US 301. The request is to modify the building layout and setbacks. It's currently to allow for it's a training center. Again, this plan shows the current layout of the project, and then the next graphic will show the proposed revised layout effectively on the southern end of the boundary of the project. They're combining the buildings. The applicant's indicated to preserve Grand Oak. As part of that, they're asking for a 10-foot reduction in the southern setback from 55 to 45 feet. Staff is recommending approval of this with conditions and are available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Mr. Grady?
The applicant was here, so I don't. Oh, there she is. Yes.
Come on down.
So sorry about that.
No problem.
Good morning. My name is Patricia Ortiz. For the record, my address is 2810 North Central Avenue, Tampa, 33602. Today I'm here representing the Millrights Local Union 1000. Through this minor modification, we're requesting to amend the approved PD to reconfigure the lot layout, reduce the number of students, reduce the total building area, and reduce the rear setback. We're trying to reduce the rear setback from 55 feet to 45 feet, and that would allow preservation of a grand tree. The intent of the PD zoning remains the same, and that is to provide a place for technical education for millwrights. Millwrights are skilled tradespeople who assemble, disassemble, maintain and repair machinery in factories, power plants, and construction sites. They use specialized tools and follow complex machinery manuals. Employment is projected to grow about 20% between now and 2030. The property has been owned by the Millrights since 1973. It's located on the south side of Highway 92, about a quarter mile from the I-4 interchange, and it's west of Falkenburg Road. The zoning in the vicinity is a mix of PD, CG, CI, and AS1. The uses are also mixed and include a mobile home park, retail, light industrial, and religious institution. The property and all surrounding properties and abutting lands are within the CMU 12 Future Land Use District. Staff has found this petition compatible with the uses in the area and has recommended approval. And finally, I'd just like to add that this petition is consistent with Eastlake Orient Park, the compatibility and neighborhood community development policies of the future land use element. And with that, I'll answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you.
Catch my
Is
breath.
anyone here in support of the application? Anyone in opposition? Commissioner Kemp?
Thank you. I'd like to move approval and say that I'm really pleased that the solution was come up with this property, and that we're going to have the Millrights in Hillsborough County training hundreds of workers, thousands, I don't know, for
Yeah.
generations to come. And so that's a wonderful thing.
Thank you, Ms. Camp. And I don't know if I said this, but originally we were proposing to have 79 students maximum per session, and now we've reduced it down to 50. But still, that'll provide great opportunity for persons in this technical field and really comply with the economic development elements, as visioned by the community. So thanks.
I got a motion to approve, Commissioner Kemp, second, Commissioner Cohen. No other comment, please record your vote.
Motion carried 7-0.
Next item.
Thank you.
The next item is agenda item E5, PRS application 23-0089. The applicant is John Faulkner. The request is rezone, the minor modification to a parcel that's located on the north side of State Road 574 east of 301. The request is to modify this portion of this parcel within the larger PD. That parcel, including the area to the north, is shown in the gray area, is approved for commercial uses and multifamily. The multifamily component within that is permitted as a building height of 60 feet, 4 stories, and the commercial is limited to 35 feet, 2 stories. This request is requesting the commercial component be permitted the same building height as a multifamily, which is also already permitted within the parcel. Therefore, the result of this request would allow the commercial buildings to have a 60 feet, 4-story building height. Staff is recommending approval with conditions, and we're available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Is the applicant here? Morning, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. William Malloy, 325 South Boulevard, Tampa, Florida. This is an ask, as Mr. Grady said, to modify the rather aged PD for DG Farms in South County. And the particular pod that we're looking at, which is A1, it's on 674, the south end of the development. The multifamily buildings are permitted a height up to 60 feet or 4 stories. And all we're asking for today is that any commercial buildings, which would be allowed in the same pod, could reach the same height, which would be, again, 60 feet or 4 stories. We have the support of Development Services and the Planning Commission. And I believe the only phone call I took was from Walmart, who was wondering exactly what we were up to. They were calm about it. So thank you, and we ask for your support and consideration.
Thank you. Any proponent testimony? Or anyone in opposition? Commissioner Owen?
Yes, and they summed it up really well. All this is doing, Commissioners, is just allowing for the commercial to be the exact same height as the residential. We do need more commercial out there in this area, so I'm going to move for approval. Thanks.
Got a motion to approve, Commissioner Owen.
And I'll second.
Second, Commissioner Wostel. Commissioner Wostel?
Yeah, this is a topic for the public, and 674 is an absolute nightmare. So I want to make sure that anybody listening understands that this is already approved for 4-story apartments, and there's nothing that we could have done about that. Just want to make that clear for the public. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Please record your vote.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. I seem to be having technical difficulties with the computer. If you'll give me just a moment. All right, I got it operational. Motion carried 7-0.
Next item.
The next item is agenda item E6. This is PRS application 23-0108. The applicant is Progressive Capital Group LLC. The parcel is located on the west side of Morris Bridge Road, between East Fletcher Avenue and North Fowler Avenue, east of University area and Temple Terrace, City of Tampa. The request is to modify, and again, here's a close-up of the property, again, southwest corner, 127th Avenue, Morris Bridge Boulevard. The request is to modify the building layout and front yard setbacks to reduce from 25 to 20 feet along, and again, this is a proposed building layout under the revised provisions, and also to modify flexibility regarding the access types to provide flexibility as to which access point will be a full access and which access will be emergency access. Staff has reviewed this. Again, the project is currently approved for multifamily, but there's no changes in entitlements. Again, this is just modifications of the design layout for the project and access. Staff is recommending approval, and we're available for any questions. Thank you.
Is the applicant here? Good morning.
How do I present? And how do I present this to the screen?
Oh, they're going to put it on the screen.
Good morning. My name is Dallas Evans, certified planner and licensed professional engineer with Landis Evans and Partners. I'm here today on behalf of the applicant, Progressive Capital Group. My address is 3810 Northdale Boulevard in Tampa, and I have been sworn. This property is located west of Interstate 75 at the southwest corner of 127th Street and Morris Bridge Road. The property is currently vacant. This property was originally zoned as a planned development with PD 060223, which allowed for the construction of 84 townhome units on the property. The PD was revised in 2022 via PD 22-0559 to allow for 335 conventional multifamily dwelling units. We are not planning to change that. At the time, we were required for one of the two entrances to be emergency only per the Land Development Code. We were only allowed to have one entrance. Our request today is to swap those entrances, to allow the eastern entrance to be the main entrance and the western entrance to be the emergency access. The way it's actually written is to give us the flexibility for either to be allowed as the full access. To summarize some of the key findings of the staff report, this request does not propose a change in the approved density. While I'm at it, also, the envelope, building envelope that had been shown on the plans, as well as the internal vehicular, pedestrian, bicycle circulation, that has been updated to match the current plans. And then we're also requesting the front setback go from 25 feet to 20 feet. And for the staff report, the request does not propose a change in approved density. We're keeping that the same. The proposed project may be found compatible with nearby development patterns, and the proposed development is consistent with the comprehensive plan. Staff has found this request approvable. With that, I'll conclude the presentation and respectfully request your approval. I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any proponent testimony? Anyone in opposition? Can we have a motion?
Second.
Motion, Commissioner Kemp, second, Commissioner Myers. With no comments, please record your vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
Thank you. All right, now we're on the regular agenda. Mr. Grady.
Commissioners, the next item, agenda item is F2. As noted at the changes to the agenda, F1 was remanded to the zoning hearing master hearing at the beginning of the agenda. So the next item will be item F2. It's rezoning PD 22-0948. It's a rezoning of a 3.9 acre approximately parcel located on the east side of US 301, north of Big Bend Road, at the northeast corner of 301 and Dixon Drive. The request is to rezone the property to permit 30,000 square feet of development consisting of a 20,000 square foot kennel and then 10,000 square feet of office. There's a proposed site plan. Again, to address compatibility, the applicant is proposing a 40-foot buffer along the eastern boundary where a 20-foot buffer would be required by the code. They've also provided operating hours 6:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. Access to the property is to Dixon Drive. Staff is recommending approval with conditions, but I will note that the The Planning Commission did find it inconsistent, and the zoning hearing master is recommending approval. Again, we're available for any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Isabel Albert with HAF, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 900. I have a presentation here for you. Paper presentation, because I lost my little thumb drive. It's on my way between the parts. So what I have for you today is this almost 4-acre parcel that's located in the Riverview Community Plan. It has it's directly on US 301 and Dixon Drive. It is currently zoned agricultural single family, and it has a future land use of residential 4, and it is located in the urban service area. So this is just to orient you a little bit more, just zooming out. What you have down here is Summerfield, and then you have the Big Bend Road over here. This is US 301, and then Rodine over there. So the request is for, as Mr. Grady stated, this is over 20,000 square foot daycare, boarding place, and a grooming kennel, as well as a 10,000 square foot office structure located to the east of it. And part of it will have limited office uses, type of office uses, as well as hours of operation. I'll go into detail with that further on. And we also have a request for a design exception for Dixon Drive, which was found approvable by the county engineer. There's a little history here. When we first came in, we provided a plan that had an access on Dixon Drive. We had our kennel over here, and the office use was further to the east, as thinking like a buffer between that residential development over there. And then I received a call from one of the neighbors raising concerns. They said, you know what, we fought this. We don't want an access on Dixon Drive. It has to be on US 301. We don't have an issue with what you're proposing, but this is what we're really asking for. So we went back to the drawing board. You'll see this application has been in the system for quite a while, because we had to go back to the drawing board, and then we came back with a redesign to eliminate the access on Dixon and put it on US 301. And at the same time, we're addressing some concerns that the Planning Commission had in terms of compatibility. So we increased the distance of the office use from the residential over here, and that way we had the access on 301. At the same time, we actually had an official meeting with FDOT. They kept pushing to meet with us, because it says, you don't understand. You're not the first person who's looked at this access on 301. It's an impossible access to do. It is a safety concern. You don't meet the distance requirement. And with the amount of accidents here, we are not liking this at all. So for safety concerns, they really strongly directed us to go back to Dixon Drive, which was hard, because I met with the neighbors and I told them, no. I mean, that was their main concern. And it's like, if I can do something about it, I wanted to do something about it. And unfortunately, our hands were tied at this point. So we have to relocate the access back on Dixon Drive. But furthermore, not only we redirected our access on Dixon Drive, we increased the amount of buffer. Earlier, you're talking about, the buffer between you and the library. We are providing a 40-foot buffer where a 20-foot buffer is required. But we provided a 20-foot buffer, and not only the 20-foot buffer, but we're also retaining the existing vegetation. This was per the request of the adjacent neighbor, as well as providing a six-foot vinyl fence. It's like, these were certain things that we could provide, and that the applicant was gladly to provide. But that's also part of the discussion with Planning Commission. We're like, okay, well, let's reduce the uses there, and also the hours of operation. And lastly, we did an architectural style, residential architectural style, to blend in more with the residents to the east of us. Now, what we have to do is, when we came in, the applicant first approached me and says, so what do you think of the site? And I looked at the site, I was like, I think it's a great site. I mean, you're on US 301, you're Big Bend there, the residential, and we're looking at all the commercial sites along 301. And so that's where and I'll go through this very quickly, because I'm sure you're familiar with the area, but we have, adjacent right south of us, We have a storage area with mini storage with boats and RV storage. They requested a flex to get more intensity because they also have the same land use as ours as residential 4. They obtained a flex of it was a couple of them they changed, but they did obtain a flex and a reduced buffer from 20 feet to 5 feet. But Planning Commission at that time found it compatible with the area. They found it consistent. So again, for me, it was like, this is a good site. And as we continued on, this is the history of that site next to us. But again, it shows that the Planning Commission was finding it consistent. As we move down along 301, and this is going south of our site, we have a gas station across the street. Over here, we have office use that were approved that did not meet, most of the sites along US 301 don't meet commercial location criteria. So, and they say, well, through the buffering, through design, you can address these concerns. This is, as we all know, Summerfield Crossing has commercial and residential in there. This is going on the west side of US 301. Again, just continuing down, we have commercial. Some of them have limited uses, understandably. And as you move down again, this continuing, showing that you can have your commercial next to your residential. Again, here we have commercial and then more commercial. And then this goes on all the way down to Summerfield, to Big Bend. What's interesting, though, along here, this I'm just going to go through quickly. And this is lastly on Big Bend. So when you look north of our site, the development, the residential development is already developed. All of that are planned development, they're all developed. But what's left, those parcels that are left, are actually being developed since 2012, and I looked at that since 2012. Most of them are not residential. You'll have office, commercial, retail. That's what's been approved there, and that's what's being developed there. And the reason why 2012 is important is because prior to 2012, US 301 was a 2-lane road, a small little lane road, not very hard to get to and things like that. The county's invested a lot of money into this. And as you all know, and I'm sure you've driven through it for the years of doing construction, they've expanded this road to beautiful 4 to 6 lane, encouraging development to come down. And this is the difference, and this is what you'll see. This is the 2012 and 23. Obviously, 2012 seems like it was a very cloudy day because it's very dark, but the development that we see is the commercial that you'll see along and then we have self-storage, we have a meeting warehouse, we have commercial, office, all of that, you'll see the ones that are open. Immediately adjacent next to us, so it looks like our 2 parcels are the only 2 vacant ones, is because next to us is an F-dot pond due to the expansion of US 301. But here's also the River Community Plan. This is why you have the commercial along 301, is because you have the vision, and this is how they see it. And this was, and it states, to encourage commercial and office use, to be located and take advantage of the new construction. You also look at the future land use. Future land use, it's in urban service area. It is also, when you talk about compatibility, and they always say compatibility is not the same as, but how do you address compatibility? It's by scale, it's by height. We're limited to 1 story. We are limited to 10,000 square feet. The landscaping, odor, architecture, all of that is how we are addressing it. And the next is, how do you protect your neighborhood, policy of neighborhood? You use professional site planning for buffering and screening. We are doubling our buffers. We're increasing our screening. And specific land uses, we are limited, or the commercial use, or the office uses. And then one of the main concerns that we had is they say that commercial uses should be located, should be restricted to collector and arterial, and location external to established neighborhood. It doesn't say you have to have access on 301, a collector. It says you have to be located along those corridors, which we are. You have to be located on the outskirt of the neighborhood development, which we are. And lastly, that was the commercial criteria, commercial location criteria. Why is it that we don't meet it? Looking at it, interestingly enough, Dixon Drive actually dead ends at Summerfield Crossing. It's supposed to connect, but it doesn't. It just has panels, it dead ends, and there's a couple of feet, and then that's the right-of-way of Summerfield Crossing. So the intent was to have this as a collector driveway. So I think we would have been able to meet that commercial location criteria, but there's a lot that I've given you to show that this should be waived. And lastly, the hearing officer, Ms. Pamela Johatley, also agreed with us, and she found this absolutely compatible with the area and met the comprehensive plan regulations, and all of that is probably in your backup as well. So this concludes my presentation, and I'm here if you have any questions. I also have with me Libby Rodriguez that can explain more on the FDOT situation. Thank you.
Is anyone here in support, any proponent testimony? Anyone in opposition? All right, please come forward. You have a total of 10 minutes. Good morning, sir.
Hello, my name is John Murdoch. I live on 10702 Dixon Drive. I've been living out there approximately 38 to 40 years. There's 52 plus residents on there. A lot of older people that's been there 40 years or more. We put up with the development. It's surrounding us. They built the land 4 to 7 foot higher than ours. We get all their water dumped on us. The creek that the bridge is on, that's Wolf's Head Branch. That's like a wildlife corridor down there behind there, and behind my house and behind a lot of the people's houses. But to put a commercial built entryway down there, we have a hard enough time getting out now. The cars are doing 50, 60, 70 mile an hour. They put a turn, they wouldn't let Cowley down there turn northbound anymore. So now they have to go down to our U-turn on 301, which backs up the fast lane to go northbound in the morning. There's a bunch of housing developments over there, and that's one of their main exits. We definitely need a light on Cowley. And putting a light there would solve the problem where they could get an entry-exit to their property there. He just doesn't want to put the money up to help put in a light there. He bought the property, the cheapest on 301, $1.5 million for almost 4 acres, unheard of. But it's going to create a huge hardship on the 50 families there to get in and out. I don't want to have to be waiting there with one of my grandchildren that's injured, trying to get to a medical facility and have 5 or 6 people that have their dogs in doggy daycare there. It's a residential street. Leave it a residential street. And I appreciate your concerns. I hope it's just that I come down here, I don't get an agenda of the meetings here to know whether we even honored or not. Can't find parking, can't find handicap parking downstairs because all the sheriff's department's got all the parking around the building. It's distressing to try to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning just to get down here for a meeting when it could have been planned for an evening. And but I appreciate you county commissioners for coming in here and considering us.
Thank you, sir. Next.
Sorry to rush, but I know we're limited on time here. So good morning, commissioners. My name's Kathy Moore. I live at 10603 Dixon Drive. I've been there since 1968, so I've seen many changes at 301 in Dixon. I entered a newspaper article about our neighborhood trying to get a light put in before 301 was widened because of the danger of being rear-ended before we turn into our neighborhood. DOT told us we were close to Big Bend, but when we were too close to Big Bend, but when Summerfield wanted a light closer to Big Bend, they got it. Now, in 1996, before 301 was 6-laned, I was in an accident and put in the hospital for 2 days. One of our neighbors, who is here today, Mr. Bailey, had his daughter, Cheryl, and her husband in an accident as they were leaving our area. And both ended up in the hospital, and another person died. Mr. Bailey's wife isn't here today because she's at the hospital because her daughter is still dealing with complications from that accident, and her husband is awaiting surgery from the same accident, for problems from the same accidents. According to the trip-generated analysis that was taken from the Planning Commission's report, there will be 780 daily trips on Dixon if used for this business, 103 peak hour trips per hour, and 109 peak hour trips for the PM. That's the first one's for the AM, then the PM. The Planning Commission didn't approve of because of many of these reasons, and because of the being not blending in with our neighborhood. So we can't understand how the zoning hearing master was for this development. We ourselves are not against the development. We're just against them using Dixon Drive for their entrance and exit when they should use 301. A county official told me that Mr. Chonry has a lot of money invested in his property. Well, we have a lot invested in our properties. And this situation with Dixon, them using Dixon, can cause our properties to lose their value and also make it dangerous. So we hope that you can see why this isn't a good plan for the residents of Dixon. And as your constituents, we pray that you understand our situation and agree with us. We hope that the traffic engineers can think out of the box and help us and other neighborhoods in the county, as we have ideas and looks like it's something that could work using Cowley as a crossroad. This should be researched. And also Mr. Tronry, as Bill said, could use 301. It's just expensive. Also, the flex that they brought up for the property of the storage building, that was kind of snuck in on us, so we didn't know what was happening. They did have a driveway there they tried to use to get on Dixon, but that was turned down. So we hope you'll help us protect our neighborhood. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Got about 3.5 minutes left. Good morning, sir.
My name is Brent Davis. I live at 10609 Dixon Drive in Riverview. We were all vehemently opposed to this access on 301. For any of you that have not visited this application, I would hope that you have, especially our commissioner. This is a very, very dangerous situation and has been for a long time. There are school children just to the north in a charter school there that walk across this twice a day, 5 days a week. And as you know, many school children, they don't pay too much attention. They're looking at their phone and what have you. They're going to be subjected to this situation that we're talking about here. There's been a lot of accidents there, including fatalities. The record is very bad. And we have to pull out to make a U-turn to go southbound. We have to pull across the 301 traffic. And to get into our community, we are at the mercy of people that are driving way over the posted speed limit to try to slow down to get into our community. And with the traffic that she just mentioned, it's going to be horrendous. Let's see what else we got here. My feeling is it would be possible, after reviewing the FDOT report, to have an access off 301. It's not impossible, as was implied earlier. It just requires jumping through more hoops, more time, and more money. Now, Mr. Chaudhry, the applicant here, is heavily invested in MTC Petroleum. If you look on the plan, MTC Petroleum is who the plan was drawn up for. And I suggest to you that what he's going to do after he gets this approved is come before you again with another plan and put a gas station and perhaps a taco bus there, which he's also heavily invested in. Again, that would be a disaster for our neighborhood. The Planning Commission did not recommend approval. That says something right there. So one has to wonder, how was it that the hearing master approved this? Does Mr. Chaudhry have some influence here that maybe we don't? One has to wonder. It just didn't make any sense. There were 20 people from our neighborhood at that meeting, and all of them signed up in opposition to this, yet somehow it was approved. So I suggest that you continue this matter at a minimum and go and look at it for yourself and see how dangerous it is, because this is literally a matter of life and death for the people that are pulling on and off Dixon Drive, not just the residents, but those that make deliveries, provide services, and so forth. So sooner or later, something very bad is going to happen there. If you approve this, that blood may well be on your hands. Thank you for your time. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? We've got about a minute left. Morning.
Yes, my name is Jennifer Eisman. I live at 10904 Dixon Drive. We also strongly oppose.
Excuse me, Ms. Eisman, I just need to confirm whether you're a party of record. I don't see that you had attended the zoning hearing master meeting.
I did not.
And did you submit anything into the file, any documentation? Did you send anything in?
Not this time.
Okay, let me confirm whether, if I can have a minute, I'll need to confirm whether she's on the party of record address list. Do you live near the property?
I live on Dixon Drive.
Okay, let me confirm that.
10904.
Sorry, how do you spell your last name?
Eisman, E as in Edward, I, S as in Sam, E as in Edward, N as in Nancy, M as in Mary, A, Nancy, Nancy.
I apologize, ma'am, but I do not see your name on the notice list. So you are not a party of record. I could say that one of the other members of the opposition could speak for the remaining time if they're a party of record.
Any other speakers? We have a minute left. Okay. Applicant, you have 5-minute rebuttal.
Thank you. For the record, Isabel Albert with HAF. I'm just going to really leave my time for Libby. She's the one who's been having all those negotiations and discussion with FDOTs and their engineers, different groups, in fact, for the last 6 months. As well as, for the record, I noticed that in the conditions of approval, there's no conditions stating that natural vegetation shall be maintained within the buffer, with the exception of native species, invasive species. So that will be added. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Libby Rodriguez, 18156 Sandy.
I'm sorry. Are you with the applicant's team?
Yeah. So
Oh, okay.
I'm
Okay.
here to speak about the traffic concerns. So Libby Rodriguez, 18156 Sandy Point Drive, Tampa, Florida, 33647. We actually would have preferred US 301 access. It makes the developer's property more valuable for commercial and retail to have US 301 access. We went to DOT and they informed us that we were the 4th or 5th group that had been before them for this property within the last couple of years. And, that kind of sends up red flags, and we asked them, well, what is the issue? So the main issue, so these people had said, hey, line up with Cowley, we can throw a signal up there, then your traffic won't be on Dixon, we'll have the signal. To do that, we would have to break the guardrail that's along 301. It's all about the guardrail, okay? We would have had to break the guardrail that's along 301 there and build, 2 smaller pieces of guardrail on either side. The guardrail is really important according to DOT, particularly between 301 and the creek right there. They said that it's an extreme safety. It is of extreme safety importance, and really emphasize that. So what happened was the 4 teams, development teams that came before us to DOT, 2 of them hired expert engineers to try to design those 2 smaller pieces of guardrail to today's DOT standards, and were unable to because of the shorter length of the guardrail versus the speed of the traffic on 301 and kind of the slope that they're dealing with, just like a lot of elements. the two experts hired by two of the previous teams were unable to design adequate guardrail to DOT standards. So, I asked them really clearly, so are you saying, it's impossible and that we can't access 301? And they said, it appears now to be impossible. They said, never say never. There could be some brilliant person could figure out a way, but so far no brilliant people have been able to figure out a way to do it. So I'm going to go on record of saying it's virtually impossible to design the guardrail that's needed for DOT to sign off on it so that DOT will give a driveway onto 301. Therefore, we can't have it. Now, speaking to the accidents, if we introduced a driveway onto 301, that is another conflict point on 301. The more conflict points you have, just statistically speaking, the more the incidence of a crash would go up. With us using the Dixon Drive driveway that's already an existing curb cut conflict point on 301, that's one less driveway along 301 from that perspective. Do you have any questions?
I don't see any right now. Thank you.
Thanks.
Planning Commission.
Thank you. For the record, Melissa Leinhard, Planning Commission staff. The subject property is located within the Residential 4 future land use category. The site is in the urban service area and also located within the limits of the Riverview Community Plan as well as the South Shore Area-wide Systems Plan. The intent of the Residential 4 future land use category is to designate areas that are suitable for low-density residential development. Non-residential uses are required to meet locational criteria or seek a waiver to these criteria. The proposed project proposes a maximum of 30,000 square feet, which is less than the maximum 42,906 square feet that could be considered in the Residential 4 category. The eastern portion of the planned development is proposing an intensity of 10,000 square feet of business professional office uses adjacent to single-family residential uses. New development must demonstrate the gradual transition of intensities between different land uses using professional site planning, buffering, and screening techniques, and also by controlling specific land uses per future land use element policy 16.2. In addition, development and redevelopment are required to be integrated with adjacent land uses through the creation of like uses, the creation of complementary uses, or mitigation of adverse impacts per future land use element policy 16.3. While the site does orient most of the most intense use, which is the dog kennel along US Highway 301, it would still place office uses adjacent to single-family residential properties to the east. In addition, the proposed rezoning does not meet the intent of future land use element policy 1.4, as it is incompatible with the surrounding area that is primarily single-family residential with agricultural and single-family zoning districts in close proximity to the site. According to that policy, compatibility does not mean the same as, rather it refers to the sensitivity of development proposals in maintaining the character of existing development. In this case, a rezoning from AS 0.4 to planned development would not maintain the character of the area. The proposed development would not provide a gradual transition of use between the proposed commercial general zoning uses and the existing single-family residential located adjacent to the subject site. The subject site does not meet commercial locational criteria. The nearest qualifying intersection is to the south at Big Bend Road and US Highway 301. Per policy 22.2 of the future land use element, at least 75% of the property must fall within 900 feet of this intersection. The subject site is over 3,700 linear feet away from the intersection and consequently does not meet locational criteria. Future land use element policy 16.5 requires development of higher intensity in non-residential land uses that are adjacent to established neighborhoods be restricted to collectors and arterials and to locations external to established and developing neighborhoods. The site only has access off of Dixon Drive, which is a local roadway, and has an established neighborhood directly to the east. Therefore, the site does not meet the intent of this policy direction. Staff has also reviewed the waiver request submitted by the applicant, and due to compatibility concerns with the proposed use in close proximity to the residential homes directly to the east, in addition to identifying no unique circumstances or findings that would justify a waiver to commercial locational criteria, Planning Commission staff recommends that the board not approve the waiver to commercial locational criteria. Based upon these considerations, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed plan development inconsistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Hearing master.
The zoning hearing master conducted a public hearing and considered the request to rezone the subject property from AS, excuse me, .04 to planned development for the purpose of accommodating a 20,000 square foot kennel that would provide daycare, boarding, and grooming services for dogs and pets, and an office facility with up to 10,000 square foot of business professional office uses, which are limited to kennels, business services, government offices, health practitioner office, or medical offices or clinics with scheduled emergency physician services, professional offices, and professional services. The applicant is requesting a waiver of commercial locational criteria under the comprehensive plan. The applicant's narrative acknowledges the intersection at Dixon Drive and US Highway 301 is not a qualifying intersection, but based on certain circumstances, including the surrounding development, the subject property being within the urban services area, availability of adequate public facilities, and adequate roadway, the applicant is requesting the waiver. Ms. Lenhard explained that the Planning Commission staff does not support the applicant's request for waiver of commercial locational criteria and recommends that the board not approve the waiver. The zoning hearing master did, however, find the application to be supportable and recommended approval.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Bolster.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And the Planning Commission can mark this day down as me leaning in to support them. In the Riverview Community Plan, one thing that I found was disingenuous that was presented to us, where it said that they wanted to use 301 to promote commercial use, which I do agree with, but that's for the huge swaths of land up and down 301 where you can easily access it from 301 without disrupting the surrounding communities. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir. I would clarify that commercial locational criteria is to be viewed in conjunction with, as well as all the other policies, the community plan policies that are outlined in the Riverview Community Plan.
Yeah, that's what I want. That's a lot of the reason why I'm going to be moving to deny this. One thing that continues to be very confusing about these is it says that the proposed general use is going to be single-family residential on this backup, but it's not going to be single-family residential at all, correct? I don't know who. It's going to be completely commercial. That's one thing. When I was reading, I was very confused about what this was going to be. Let's see. Proposed.
Yes, Commissioner, you're correct. That is a misstatement in the report. The proposed use is not for residential. It is for kennel and office uses.
Okay. So that was very confusing to me. And if it was residential, which is they're currently in the future land use, they're categorized as Res 4. I see that in the note above. So they could technically come in and ask for a PD to create a 4 homes per acre right now. They could ask for that within their future land use?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And I see there's a lot of other questions, but I'm not gonna be supporting this. Thank you.
I got a motion to deny. Commissioner Wolstel. Do we have a second?
A second.
Second, Commissioner Cohen. Commissioner Cohen, recognize.
I'll be brief. I'm always very interested when our three-legged stool splits and there's opposition, inconsistency finding from the Planning Commission, yet approval from the zoning hearing master and the staff. And after reviewing the record, I found myself persuaded by the Planning Commission's finding of incompatibility here. I think Commissioner Wastel just alluded to the fact that there are other uses for this property that won't create such a a huge burden on this intersection, which even the applicant conceded doesn't actually qualify for the waiver. Thank you.
Commissioner Kemp?
Yes, and I know in the past I've gone back and forth with the Planning Commission a little bit about the commercial locational criteria and how it applied in certain cases. But in terms of this case, I was very persuaded by the combining of as different policies, including demonstrating what it would mean if that was an arterial roadway, collector roadway, I think is what you described, or rather than a local road. It really looks like the impacts are unavoidable. And then at first I was just, looking at the FDOT explanation and saying, confused by that and the guardrail requirements and all that. But when I saw the Planning Commission with the roadway on this particular case, I would agree, and I'm also supporting denying.
Commissioner Cameron Cepeda?
Yes, I received a lot of emails with safety concerns because of so many accidents and even deaths in the area. And so that was a really big concern, and also that the Planning Commission did also say that it was inconsistent with the plan as well. So I could not approve that for those reasons.
Commissioner Owen?
Yes, and one I want to think, I know the applicant was going above and beyond with the buffer going from 20 to 40 feet. This is not my district. I think some folks were up there looking at me as the district commissioner, but this is Commissioner Meyer's district, for the record. I think we spent a lot of time on why FDOT did not approve the ingress and egress off 301 rather than what the impact would be on this particular road. Even though it's not my district, I know it like the back of my hand. So I completely agree with the other commissioners here. But for the record here too, just so we all are voting right, we're going to be dealing with a motion for denial by Commissioner Wostel. So that will be this vote. Thank you.
Commissioner Kemp?
Yes, if I could just, one more question that came to mind. I know there was a lot of discussion about it already being a dangerous area in terms of impacts on the roads, and question which we actually frequently get questions for, which is installing a light, even at this time, even without this project. And I'm just, and I'll tell you that those are difficult. From everything I've understood, there has to be a warrant for a light that usually takes a study and usually is involved in a certain amount of traffic. And I'm very confused about exactly, even though I've read it, seen it, heard about it, exactly what conditions allow for a light. But I'm just wondering also if we could have, at this time of hearing this testimony today, have staff as well look and consider the impacts that were raised here today. I mean, we had someone who spent 2 days in the hospital already from whatever design and instances are occurring there. So I just like to ask staff, I don't think we need a motion for that or anything, to listen to the testimony today and please review that area and those roads in terms of what the residents have raised as a dangerous issue.
All right, if no other comments, please record your motion to deny.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right, thank you. Next item.
The next item is agenda item F3, rezoning standard 22-1221. The applicant is David Wright. The request is to rezone approximately 8.5 acre parcel consisting of 5 folios located at the at the intersection of Martin Luther King Boulevard and Watson Road in the East Lake Orient Park area. Again, on the north side, west of Falkenburg Road. Again, the request is the request for commercial neighborhood with restrictions. The restrictions the applicant offered up is to provide stormwater retention along the northern boundaries of both sides of the property on that front north of the adjacent to the residential. So on both sides, retention will be provided. They've committed to a solid screen along the northern boundary. They've prohibited drive-throughs, and they've also committed to a specific list of permitted uses, limited use list as part of their proposed restrictions. Given the surrounding development patterns, you'll see there's manufacturing to the east and south of the property, multifamily to the west. There's a small CG also adjacent to this. Most of the property is currently zoned RSC6, but there is a PD. Within that, the PDs have permitted a two-way radio sales and service company. So based on the surrounding development pattern, Plant Development Services did find this compatible with the proposed restrictions. As noted, the Planning Commission found it inconsistent, and the hearing officer was not supportive of the request. Staff's available for any questions. Thank you.
Is the applicant here?
Morning, Commissioners. My name is David Wright, President of TSP Companies. Our address is P.O. Box 273417, Tampa, Florida 33688. I have not been sworn.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Thank you.
Thank you.
This application is requesting the rezoning of the subject properties to commercial neighborhood with restrictions. The following list of restrictions and site planning techniques are proposed to ensure compatibility with the existing residential zone properties to the west, northwest, and north. The proposed rezoning is located on the perimeter of the neighborhood and on an arterial road, limiting the commercial uses to a specific list of less intense neighborhood commercial uses, with prohibited drive-throughs, providing enhanced screening of a solid fence or masonry wall, in addition to the 20-foot buffer with type B screening between the proposed commercial uses and the residential uses, and requiring the stormwater management ponds to be located to the north end of the subject properties on both sides of Watson Road to increase the buffer greater than 20 feet. We respectfully disagree with the Planning Commission staff's finding that the request does not meet the intent of future land use element objectives 16 and policies 16.1, 16.2, 16.3, and 16.5. As for 16.1, the proposed list of uses has been extensively restricted and detailed to limit the commercial uses to less intense and neighborhood scale. 16.2 and 16.3, buffering and enhanced screening is proposed directly adjacent to the residential uses to the north, and to the use to the west is commercial general, not residential as indicated in the staff report. That's important. The adjacent folio to the west, folio 65435, is zoned commercial general and utilized as an office. It is not residential. It is commercial general, allowing more commercial intensity by right than this request. The properties further to the west are the Mariners Cove Court Apartments and Sable Park Apartments that are existing developments at densities of 14 units per acre and 24 units per acre, and compatible with the proposed commercial neighborhood restricted zoning. 16.5, the proposed commercial neighborhood restricted zoning is located external to the existing neighborhood and on arterial road. I previously stated that. And a more appropriate, compatibility is defined as the characteristics of different uses or activities or design which allows them to be located near or adjacent to each other in harmony. Compatibility does not mean the same as, rather it refers to the sensitivity of development proposals in maintaining the character of the existing development. We believe the proposed restrictions will maintain the character of the area and provide compatibility with the existing neighborhood. Development Services staff found the request to be approvable. We sent notices to the surrounding properties as required by the Land Development Code, and we were not contacted by anyone seeking information or objecting to this request, and there are no objections in the body of record. I respectfully request your approval of this application. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone here in support of the application? Anyone in opposition? Okay, thank you. Planning Commission?
Thank you, Melissa Leinhard, Planning Commission staff. The subject property is located within the Community Mixed Use 12 Future Land Use category. It is in the urban service area and also within the limits of the East Lake Orient Park Community Plan. Future Land Use Element Policy 1.4 defines compatibility as the characteristics of different uses or activities or design which allow them to be located near or adjacent to one another in harmony. Compatibility does not mean the same as, rather it refers to the sensitivity of development proposals in maintaining the character of existing development. The proposed request would not allow for harmonious activities and uses adjacent to the surrounding area of the subject site and is not consistent with this policy direction. The proposed rezoning also does not meet the intent of future land use element Objective 16 and its accompanying policies with regard to neighborhood protection. Although the applicant has submitted a list of restrictions, several of the restricted uses that would still be permissible would still be incompatible with the single-family and multifamily residential uses around the subject site. The restricted uses could potentially allow, could not potentially allow enough adequate room for buffering and screening and would allow for intense uses within the established neighborhood. The proposed rezoning to commercial neighborhood restricted would not allow for gradual transitions between the residential land uses that surround the site to the west and north and is therefore not consistent with this policy direction. Goal 12 and Objective 12-1 of the community design component encourage new developments to recognize the existing community and be designed in a way that is compatible with the established character of the surrounding neighborhood. The subject site is surrounded by single-family and multifamily uses. The proposed rezoning to commercial neighborhood restricted would allow for uses that are too intense for the existing neighborhood and development pattern and is also not consistent with the aforementioned policy direction. The East Lake Orient Park Community Plan establishes guidance on vision, community improvement, and community identity. Although some of the restricted uses may be beneficial to the surrounding neighborhood, the request would still allow for uses that conflict with the community plan's vision on neighborhood identity. It would allow for development that could potentially interfere with the appearance and character of the neighborhood and its surrounding residential uses. This rezoning could allow for development for commercial uses that are incompatible with the neighborhoods located directly north, northwest, and west of the subject site, and therefore would not be consistent with the vision of the community plan. And based upon those considerations, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed rezoning inconsistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Hearing Master?
The zoning hearing master considered the applicant's request to rezone the subject property to commercial neighborhood restricted, with commercial uses restricted to a limited list of permissible commercial uses as detailed in the request. The zoning hearing master noted that the applicant has proposed additional mitigating restrictions consisting of stormwater retention to be located on the north side of the subject property's parcels adjacent to the RSC 6 zone parcels on both sides of Watson Road, and enhanced screening to be provided in the form of a 6-foot solid fence or masonry wall between the commercial uses and the RSC 6 zone properties on both sides of Watson Road, in addition to the 20-foot buffer with type B screening. Additionally, drive-through facilities will be prohibited. However, the zoning hearing master, based on review of the recommendations of the Planning Commission and after holding the hearing, the zoning hearing master did find the request to be non-supportable and recommended denial.
All right, thank you. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll move denial.
Second.
Got a motion to deny by Commissioner Kemp, second Commissioner Myers. Any board comments? If not, please record your vote.
Motion carried 6-1. Commissioner Cameron Cepeda voted no.
If you can change her vote, she meant to vote.
Okay, I'll edit the vote and let it reflect that she voted yes. So motion carried 7-0.
All right, thank you. F4.
The next item is agenda item F4, rezoning standard 22-1303. The request, no, it's okay. The request to rezone a 2.5 acre parcel that's located on the east side of James L. Redmond Parkway in the East County. The request is rezoned from AS1 to commercial general. With the restrictions having to deal with access, limiting the access to one access point that will be designed to county road standards because it is also providing access to the parcel to the east. That's a residential property that's currently has an access easement through this property. So, and Janesville Redmond Parkway is regulated by DOT, and DOT indicated the property would be limited to one access. So the restriction clarifies and codifies what those requirements would be for access. Michelle, if you can go to the next graphic, just to actually go to that one. Commissioners, you'll note that this does have split recommendations. Our department is recommending approval. The hearing officer is recommending approval, but the Planning Commission found it inconsistent. The basis for our support was, note, between Kilgore and Colson Road that all the parcels except for this parcel and the parcel immediately south are zone CG. Therefore, we felt that given the nature of the development pattern along this segment of Janesville Parkway roadway, that the CG zoning district was compatible with the existing development pattern along this segment of Janesville Redmond Parkway, and therefore is recommending approval. It does need a waiver of location criteria, which the Planning Commission was not supportive of, and which helped form the basis for their inconsistency. Staff's available for any questions. Thank you.
Good morning, sir. You have 10 minutes.
My name is David Mullen, professional engineer for EM Engineering Group. My address is 625 East North Broadway, Columbus, Ohio. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Jade Loy of my staff to go through our presentation.
Good morning.
Hello, Board of Commissioners, and thank you for having us here. If you have any question at any time, please intercept and ask me. We're rezoning. We're trying to obviously trying to rezone the AS1 parcel to CG as presented before and as stated by Mr. Brian Grady here, that the staff has already approved for the rezoning, and if you have any question, I'm here to answer any questions for you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Is anyone here in support of the application? Anyone in opposition?
Oh, they're in support. They just didn't raise their hand ahead of time.
Would you like to say anything, or just raise your hands, or?
You don't have to if you don't want to.
All right, let the record show that there's, what, 3 individuals in support? All right, thank you for coming down this morning. No opponent testimony, Planning Commission.
Thank you, Melissa Leinhardt, Planning Commission staff. The subject property is located within the Residential 1 future land use category. It is in the rural area, and it is not located within the limits of a community plan. Future land use element objective 4 outlines the intent for the rural area, which is to provide areas for long-term agricultural uses and large lot, low-density rural residential uses that can exist without the threat of urban or suburban encroachment, with a goal that no more than 20% of all population growth within the county will occur in the rural area. The proposed rezoning does not meet the intent of future land use element objective 16 and its accompanying policies related to neighborhood protection. The proposed rezoning to commercial general would not allow for gradual transition between the residential and agricultural land uses that surround the subject site. The subject site does not meet commercial locational criteria, as it is not located within the required distance from a qualifying intersection. The nearest qualifying intersection is identified at James L. Redmond Parkway and Colson Road, and is approximately 1,400 linear feet away from the subject property, which is greater than the 660-foot distance as required by Future Land Use Element Policy 22.2. The applicant has requested a waiver to commercial locational criteria as permitted by Future Land Use Element Policy 22.8. Planning Commission staff has reviewed the waiver request and does not support a waiver to commercial locational criteria. The waiver request is contradictory to Objective 22 of the Future Land Use Element, as permitting additional commercial uses along this roadway would allow the opportunity for future strip development purposes. Although the proposed rezoning resembles similar uses directly north of the subject site, allowing a commercial general use would conflict with the surrounding residential and agricultural development pattern. Goal 7 and Objective 7-1 of the design component in the future land use element aim to preserve existing rural and agricultural uses as they provide viable residential alternatives to urban and suburban areas. Such uses also provide historical and economic importance to their respective communities. The proposed rezoning to allow for commercial uses would directly conflict with these goals and objectives, as it would remove the agricultural single-family uses that are currently utilized on the subject site and proliferate commercial development in an area that does not meet commercial locational criteria and is also characterized by an agricultural and rural residential development pattern. Based upon those considerations, Planning Commission staff finds the proposed rezoning inconsistent with the unincorporated Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Hearing Master.
The hearing master considered the applicant's request for rezoning of the subject property to commercial general restricted. This property is about 2.5 acres in size and currently zoned agricultural single-family 1, designated residential 1 by the comprehensive plan. The application was remanded at the January land use meeting to provide the applicant an opportunity to address an objection raised by county transportation staff to the request for commercial general zoning. And in response to transportation comments, the applicant revised their application and is now requesting a rezoning to CGR with restrictions, or commercial general restricted zoning district, with the following restriction. Access to the subject site will be restricted to only one access on James L. Redmond Parkway and will be built as a roadway consistent with Hillsborough County standards. Testimony in support was provided at the ZHM hearing. No testimony in opposition was provided. The property owner testified that the parcel to the immediate east of the rezoning parcel, which is developed with a single-family home, is also owned by the subject property owner, who supports the requested rezoning application. The zoning hearing master found the request for CGR, commercial general restricted, to be consistent with the zoning pattern along this segment of James L. Redmond Parkway and consistent with the intent of the LDC and comprehensive plan, and the zoning hearing master recommended approval.
Thank you. Commissioner Owen?
Yes, this is in my district. There was no opposition to this that we saw, Mr. Gormley?
Yes.
And, you know, yeah, I know this road like the back of my hand. I actually went out there and looked at it. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Gormley, there's commercial north all the way up to Kilgore, correct? And then there is one AS1, but then below that, it's commercial as well.
That's correct.
And then could you elaborate a little bit on them bringing this road up to standard? It seems like kind of a little bit of a heavy lift and a commitment by the applicant. Can you tell me what that entails?
Yes, it entailed, so the condition would be that they would build a road to county standards. It would meet our local road standards. The purpose of this road is to provide access to the parcel in the back. The DOT has indicated that there would only be one access point permitted there, so it would not have left room for an access for the proposed commercial use and then some sort of access to this on the same parcel that would serve the parcel to the rear. So we identified that providing a road would be something that would be consistent with our regulations, and the applicant, I understand, has agreed to that restriction, and we have that recommended for support in that manner.
Okay, great. And I want to make sure I heard right. The AS1, that's the one of the applicants resides at that particular property. Did I hear that right?
I think it's the AS1 to the east. Yes.
Okay, great. And we haven't had any opposition from anyone else. Yeah, you know, based on this, I think that this is I think this is contiguous, that the commercial here is. I think this fits. I really do. I look around and I think what planning had mentioned about it, the agriculture, commercial and agriculture mixture. I mean, a lot of my agriculture folks need commercial buildings if you drive past any of the agricultural areas. So I think we may need to take a look at that again. It's usually the high reses that propose a problem in those areas. But what I'll say is I think that this particular property I would agree that it's contiguous that we have commercial in this particular area. I can't really imagine. I mean, I guess you could put a residential home there because there is one to the south. But I think on this one, I'm going to move for approval based on the surrounding area. Thank you.
Second.
We've got a motion to approve by Commissioner Owen, second Commissioner Wilstel and Cameron Cepeda. If there are no other comments, please record your vote.
Motion carried 7-0.
Mr. Gormley, any other items?
No, sir, that concludes our agenda for
All right,
today.
with that, we're adjourned.
Thank you.